got caught in the Venn diagram or whatever. I just didn't want to like move Gilgamesh that far. Looks like we're enchaining somebody again, and our enchain target is... I'm actually going to chip in by throwing tomahawks over there. He's hitting high rel again with the Scholar. Yeah, this fight's pretty tank and spank, honestly. I mean, you're right. There's nothing that's particularly amazing about this fight. If you want to see something really cool, Titan is probably the best example of like an exciting fight. Not nearly as much damaging or mechanics. Sometimes you just dodge stuff. And Titan is mostly dodging stuff. It's not a lot of like actual, I guess like you have to do this in order to do that, but it's the most fun dodge fight in the game. So I'll probably queue up for Titan Extreme after this just because I've got, I mean, that is my favorite one. Coil is where you're getting most of your mechanics. Like where you need to like offset this, or 4 people need to get hit by this, and then 5 people need to get hit by that. That's where you get all your really obscure stuff. I mean, we were kind of showing that off earlier with the Binding Coil of Bahamut turn 5. But the problem is a lot of people don't have all that stuff memorized, and despite it being a 15-minute fight, it can turn, you know, into hours and hours and hours. I will say the music really makes this fight. I should let him jump back to me. Yes, okay, my bad. Time to use some of these defensive cooldowns. I'm kind of getting hit a lot here. I'm also going to increase my own health. And they did cure me by a lot, so I guess we're back on track already. I mean, for this being an optional boss that shows up only by getting to the end of a optional like side quest that's based on his jokes and stuff. It's pretty rough. You have to complete it though in order to get the Duty Finder trials to re-unlock. Every time they add new fights, they make you do them so that you can help other people up further. Yeah, it's pretty classic old school. Center. Right under there. Dungeons also individually have really crazy mechanics. So, I mean, if you're also looking for like weird things to do, I can probably do a dungeon because I haven't done any today. Actually, maybe we will do that. I'll try Titan and one of the new dungeons. Although I do need to do my Duty Finder left for the day, so I might just go straight to that, which is basically an assortment of the 3 hardest 4-player dungeons in the game. And it gives you the most bang for your buck as far as things go. Like broken gear? No, I don't do a lot of damage when I'm tanking. I can take a lot of damage, but I don't do a lot of damage. You really should, Fex. It works on, there's a free trial for PS4 and for PC, so, you know, pick your poison. I'm on the Hyperion server, by the way. You can only create a character on it at certain points of the day. You can always transfer to it, but yeah, I mean, if you want to play, if you want to be watched over by my auspices, please feel free. Goodbye, Gilgamesh. Yeah, he surrenders. You don't actually have to beat him down. The new dungeons are the Wanderer's Palace hard mode, the Omnipore Keep hard mode, and it's a story mode dungeon called Keeper of the Lake. Keeper of the Lake is really cool, actually. I'm hoping that's the one that we get out of the roulette. And I could just queue for Keeper of the Lake, but I like want the extra points for doing a random one. They have all these roulettes because I have an addiction to points, and that gets me to help people because they give me more points for doing something random, for being randomly assigned. So... Pass. I don't need the chicken, because I got that chicken, because I showed you I got that. This is where I got the chicken, by the way. Long story short. Okay, I'm gonna click yes. Oh, I didn't get any commendations for that? That's lame. They must have just wanted the what do you call it, the pet really bad. This Gilgamesh is equally as incompetent. Okay, clear selection, and we're going to join Duty Finder Expert as tank, which means it's going to be an instant queue. Watch. Always an instant queue. Bam. Okay, cool. Yeah. Duty commence. This is Dread, by the way. Dread is like our server's premier. They're actually not the premier group, but they always look like it. They have a bunch of people who have, like, you know, wandered through Final Coil and stuff like that. And it's a really big house and built like a hotel. I'm going to enter here while I'm waiting for that healer to queue. The reason why you can't is because it's high population, and to kind of defer mass immigration onto the server, they basically just keep it closed at certain points of the day. Yeah, this is Hotel Dread. And it is basically just like, it's big, but you remember when I was talking about how you can't really densely populate the area? What are those wings? Oh, that's, they have the Bahamut statue. That's cool. But yeah, it's a bigger house, and that's cool, but you actually just can't fill it with that many objects. It does have a really huge basement, though, too. Like, I mean, it is a gigantic house, but you just can't do anything with it. Oh, whoops, let me go ahead and hit commence. And it's worth it, though. I mean, that's the thing. JC took the trouble. There's a little newsletter that, like, tells you whenever you can access it. It's, you go to na.finalfantasy14.com. So na.finalfantasyxiv.com. And it's, like, regarding character creation status. And that tells you, like, which ones you can do. And a circle means you can do it. And they update that, like, I think 3 or 4 times a day. It's at, like, 4 a.m., 8 a.m., noon, and 8 p.m. or something like that. So we're in Wanderer's Palace hard mode, which is not the dungeon I wanted, but it's still cool. I've only done it like once. So, we are here to rescue the Tunkberries from Mammal Jaw. If you recognize Mammal Jaw, that means you played Treasures of Adargon in Final Fantasy XI. And they are like straight up Mammal Jaw. And we must free them from being in the slave camp. And so this is a higher level dungeon, so I'm not going to like run through and grab a bunch of monsters for us to all kill at once, because that would be suicide. This dungeon is meant for people between levels 110 and 130 item-wise, so like we're just going to take it one step at a time. And tanking in dungeon is mostly about damage mitigation. It's about doing whatever you can to stay alive, about avoiding enemy attacks. The bosses each have their own unique mechanics that you have to kind of get used to. But as far as like the in-between stuff, it's pretty easy. That's fine. I mean, there are European players on my server, but if you're going to get the max amount of prime time, you probably want to go ahead and play on a server that is based on your own time zone. They do have European servers that are select, and you can start on either or. But that doesn't mean we can't be friends. You're always welcome to check in, ask questions, see me on the stream, that's fine. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right, Maddie. If you pull too much, you will die. Now, other dungeons, you really can go ham, but that's usually when you're in a dungeon that's kind of outdated, when you're like way too high level for it, so. You also might see that I do try to group them up together by like running through them back and forth, and I also try to keep them still grouped together by not really moving that much when I'm getting attacked by like those little orange circles and triangles and stuff you see on the ground. Save the Tunberries! Oh, whoops, you know what? I didn't really grab the attention of the guy behind me. The other thing is you don't want to move a lot if you have melee DPS, so like Dragoon, Ninja, and Monk. We don't have that, so I can actually rotate the monsters kind of at will, but I still am in the habit of not like trying to change it up because that's a big difference for the damage output of the classes I listed. DPS is damage per second, technically, I think, is what it is, damage per second. But it's the way that the game recognizes it. It's like an old slang term that caught on, and so even when you go to like Duty Finder, it lists like, oh, you know, Wolf's Den, you know, one range DPS, etc. So it's just a name that really caught on. The old term we used to use in Final Fantasy XI was DD for damage dealer. I think that's an old EverQuest term, but it doesn't really apply anymore. We do still use the word mob. Some people talking like kind of out of order, like, oh, this thing, do you need it? Because we used to have to use word select and auto-translate features to talk with Japanese players. Now the servers are separated by language, they still have auto-translate, and so people still talking like that weird kind of sing-song language. Okay, so we're at our first boss, and I don't think this does too much except call out some weird lance things, and you have to like get rid of the fire lances in order to halt an onslaught of extra damage. And the servers are pretty good. I have my particular free company, they're all on this server, and the people I do final Coil with, like the final dungeons, are from 2 people from Hong Kong, a couple of people from across the American states or whatever, and 1 person from Hawaii, which is still in the United States, but it's like almost completely different time zone on the island and whatnot. So we're able to all, you know, compete and play with each other. We also use voice chat. I'm streaming right now, and my latency is fine. My internet isn't not the most amazing type of internet, but it should be fine. This is a weird fight because I keep thinking I'm losing hate, but I'm not. He just randomly targets other party members and throws spears at them, which have to be destroyed. Oh, well, hey Capricorn, you are welcome to come to our server, actually. You know, we do a little bit of everything, and as you see, it can be a lot of fun. Some of us are like just way into one thing more than others. Like I used to do PvP non-stop every day until I finally maxed out my rank, and I was just a PvP guy. And nobody, you know, faulted me for that. You know, we had people who craft, gather, maybe they're really into dungeon crawling or relic upgrading, so you are welcome to come to Hyperion, and if you're ever on Hyperion, feel free to look me up. Oh my gosh. I keep thinking I'm losing hate because it even does like the arrows. Yeah, it's so funny. Hyperion, it's Hyperion. It's the Final Fantasy VIII weapon that Cypher carries. Yeah, this is pretty tank and spank. Gosh, this is such a lol-worthy term. Oops, I accidentally provoked the Sacred Spear, which is fine, because spears don't do anything. Oh, that's cool. It is. It's also the name of a Marvel Comics superhero that really belongs in DC more than Marvel. It's just weird, like the arrow thing specifically, because a lot of times it doesn't do the arrow, but whatever. I'm what am I? I'm like 112 warrior when I'm using the right axe. While I'm in here with my animus, I need to switch to my diamond axe in a second. I'm should be 119 scholar, like 107 summoner, and like I guess 110, maybe 111 Paladin. Like, I'm excited to hit 120, but at the same point I'm just like, man, the only thing I have to do now is either hope the drops in Coil are good, or do allied seal hunts until my base drops off and I'm able to upgrade everything. I think I'll probably see a huge jump when I get my 130 weapon, which will be in 2 weeks. I'll read that, why not? Okay, time to equip the correct axe. 112. Good luck, Pexamir. You have a good one. Okay, so this is weird. You have to pull everything away from the Sacred Standard, because the Standard enhances them. Oh yeah, of course. We'll even get you in the freaking... We have a bunch of people in all ranges. Leveling up is not something you do once. It's something you do like 20, 30 times, because there's so many different job classes to play and they're all really fun. And also the game is built so that older content is a requirement in your item progression. So like the ultimate weapon that you can build for free that you don't have to like get by luck or chance or anything like that requires you to go back and do old dungeons and stuff like that. So that'll be no problem. And thank you, Fexbear. I really do appreciate that. Good luck, man. And we're doing good. We started off at like 0 points on the stream, and now we're at like 247. So progress has a name, and it's streaming. There's actually like a crown you get for leveling up all the classes. That's just kind of a neat thing you can wear to be like, hey, I'm a badass. There's all kinds of like achievement stuff where like if you accomplish certain deeds, then you'll get something cool. Usually just for show, doesn't do anything like amazing, but it's just like they have built-in achievements, kind of like, you know, the Xbox or like the trophies from PlayStation, and they just happen to also come with like neat minions. Like for instance, if I get 15 more high fives from people, commendations are called, I'll get a golden Chocobro, or excuse me, a golden Magitech armor mount. Oh, it's Mahis Sekhmet. It's 2 Egyptian god names. One is a lion-headed god, and the other is a cat god. And that's why I'm like this weird, dark... I mean, you can't see me now because I got my bear helmet on, but I'm like this weird, dark, panthery, blondie, lion-y mess. I'm not so vain as just to like name myself Pheromone on the video game. Like, that's my name, but that's not my character's name, because my character is not me. The bloody bear axe cat lion thing. Oh, I guess we're going this way. Alright, pull this sucker back. There we go. Still getting used to tanking this dungeon because you have to like pull everything back and then you got to get them organized and then step back. Because if they're in the pink over there, then they do more damage and I think they take less damage. See, the convenience of transferring from server to server is you don't ever have to worry about like, oh, I'm going to make my character, I'm going to fall behind. You can just keep playing on your server, I guess it's Genova or Odin, and then when you're done, you know, when you finally catch the server when it's open, you can just transfer over. Okay, cool, yeah, of course. And yeah, JC, that's what it is. That's why in the final boss you have to like walk the entire arena because he keeps making those standards, and you're basically just trying to prevent it from getting, you know, out of hand. There we go. And so yeah, just like I was saying, you know, the game has really inventive 4-player play in the same way that it has inventive solo play, great PvP, good endgame dungeons, whether you're running with 24 people, or 8 people, or 4 people, or just with like a friend. Or you even get a Chocobro that you can train and level up and whatnot. So I mean, you can even solo through a lot of stuff too. It's just great. It's I'm really glad they put it on PS4 because it looks Honestly, a lot better than it does on PS3. I used to love this game on PS3 until I played on PS4 and I'm like, oh my god, it's so much better. So, PC it also looks excellent, of course, depending on your PC. Alright. Almost through the thick of it. Okay, we're gonna go attack. Sophist that I missed. It's independent of the other group. I'm gonna get him in here, kind of get them all together. I'm gonna try to home gang him and see if home gang worked. I don't know if you saw that, but I lassoed him and pulled him in. And that's not an ability that you commonly use unless it's a life and death scenario, because home gang, besides lassoing people, also prevents you from taking any damage that would reduce you from 1 HP. So if you get hit for 10,000 and you only have like 9,000 HP, you'll go down to 1 instead of 0. So it basically just keeps you from dying, but I just wanted him to be a little closer for the Black Mage's sake, and that worked out pretty well. Okay, the next boss throws out 4 standards and then retracts them, and I think you have to like blow up the standards that you don't want them to retract. But yeah, Slithy Zalul Jaw. Well, we've got like a really burned down team. We have Bard that has 4 different AoE techniques, and then Black Mage, which is all about area of effect anyway. If we had like Monk and Ninja, we probably would be taking this a little different. They'd just kill them one at a time. But you kind of do less damage when you hit AoE, but like the time balances out, so doing all my various cooldown techniques, building initial hate. This is a lot easier to keep hate off of too, because they do less damage and more spread out stuff. So if you look at the bars up there, mine's just absolutely full, where theirs are barely scraping the surface. It's just pretty ham, man. The colors for the standards, they're deployed randomly, but they all mean the same thing. Like the green one, I think, turns you into a frog. The red one is like fire resistance or something like that. I think the blue ones are damage up. The purple one is something else. So the importance of standing on top of them doesn't change. Where they're going to be changes. And there's so much like running around and capturing the standards. By the way, that chick is totally a frog. That like it takes a while to actually do legitimate damage to him. My character name is Mahi Sekhmet. You can see me at the top of the party list. It's remember, like, Mahi is the lion god of Egypt, or lion-headed god of Egypt. And Sekhmet is a cat god, and it's just because I'm a big cat person. You don't see my character name over me because I removed it, because it's just like a little easier to see without the huge name. There's all kinds of settings you can change. You can make it to where your party members' names are abbreviated unless you target them. Oh, cool. Well, I mean, the frog's fun, you know. I think it's fun. It's not as fun as the frog that breathes fire, though, in Circus Tower. I'm not doing nothing. This is what, you know, Tremaine, I talked about how tank can be boring. I'm basically just going 1, 2... No, it's Mahi's. Mot is a hippo-headed god. Here, I'll target myself so you can see my name. See right there? M-A-A''H-E-M. Mot is the hippo-headed god that judges you when you are dying. And there's the scales of Mot, and it's like your soul is placed on one side of the scale and a feather is placed on the other side. And if your soul is heavier than a feather, that you have committed sins during the time of being, and you get eaten by a scary monster. And yeah, that's Hyperion. You are correct. Like the Final Fantasy VIII sword. This guy, I mean, like, I know he's almost dead, but it just feels like it's taken forever because it's, like, appropriately difficult. Whoa, am I a frog? No, okay. I should turn into a frog at the end just for the hell of it. Nope, that's fire resistance now. I guess the frog is already taken, because this girl is a frog. Hooray! There we go. Need. Greed. Yeah, I got a necklace that I'm just gonna sell. Is it sellable? Yeah, okay, 200 gil. I also got a headpiece from my caster, which actually might be better because I only have a level 100 headpiece for my caster, so that's not the worst. Might be better stat-wise. I also got the Tony Latex. Awesome. So pretty decent. Oh, well, thank you. I'm really excited about the PlayStation 4 having built-in green screen. Like, once I bought the camera, because you guys were like, hey, we miss you guys. It's a lot easier to set up my PS4 and get going on streaming with just the touch of a button than it is to set up the computer and then set up all the lighting and stuff, because this is already all set up. So basically, if I sit down here and I'm playing a video game, I just hit the share button, and as long as I don't look like a hobo, then yeah, it can be a lot of fun. So this'll, I'll be doing a lot more of this in the future. Oh, cool! Okay, yeah, you can look at my character, you can see all the minions and stuff, how long I've been playing. You can check out my achievements on the lodestone, see all the things I've done, what they mean. And then you can also use that as a to-do list, since we're both tanks. And as you can see, tanking's not that bad. It's a certain level of responsibility, but like I'm having fun, I'm talking, I don't have to like overthink it too bad. It's mainly just fighting the monster as if I'm fighting it solo, except I just have the damage support of my fellow DPS and the healing survival support of my healer. So it's like I'm fighting my own fight, but I have friends. Yeah, I'm gonna free the Tunberries. And then I think they do they cut a path, or do they yeah, they have a switch, and then you go through here. Is the slime the first and only thing you gotta fight? Yeah, okay. Very cool. Just like I said, you go to na.finalfantasy14.com and you just look at the thing regarding character creation process, and you just wait for that to open up. We'll be happy to have you. You can join the Vanguard, and you can do silly things like primals and whatnot. Granted, not everybody's at the same skill level as I am, but we'll have fun. That's what it's all about. We'll have fun, and we can do party finder stuff and pick up pony